Hello there, I'm Gary Baldwin. Thanks for visiting my website here, and I thought it might be an interesting idea to demonstrate to everybody how we do our gilded raised initials and letters. It's kind of a signature thing on most of our work. Kind of like this one here, much simpler version. This is a very elaborate one, but it's a much more of a simpler one, and it's going to be intended for a family plaque, an initial for a family plaque. This video here is just going to be the carving and gilding of the initial proper, and maybe we'll continue on with another video showing you the rest of the production of that particular piece. So enjoy this, and thanks again for coming to my site. We start by making a pattern, and on this one it was just so simple in a single initial, so we just drew it on a piece of paper. But generally we start with a computer generated plot when there's larger letters and a string of letters. This curious process here is pouncing the pattern. That pencil thing I have in my hand is called an electro pounce. It's actually connected to that piece of metal that's behind the pattern, and when it's grounded to that, it actually sparks little sparks and arcs and puts holes in my image. It was a must-have piece of equipment in every sign shop for decades until the computer figured out how to make signs. Now transferring my image onto my material. This material here is called high density urethane. It's basically the foundational material that we generate most of our signage with. It's an inert material, so it's not going to expand and contract and rot like wood. It has no grain, thus no tensile strength, so both hand and power tools lay into it like a dream. And roughing out the silhouette. Sketching in the high points before we begin the sculpting process. Roughing in the contours. A Dremel tool and a diamond burr bit's the tool of choice here. Cleaning up some of the tight angles. I'll then sand it all down with a medium grit followed by a fine grit paper. The dust of this stuff is like electrostatically charged sand, so there you go. Push pins in the back, basically for handles for the painting process. And waterborne primer for our foundational coat. Though it is water-based, it's not to be confused with water-based. Waterborne primer is developed for its leveling qualities, which is what we need because this being a porous surface. After 2 coats, we sand it down with a finer grit paper. The gild work needs the smooth surface we can give it. 2 more coats of a high gloss oil base is then applied, giving us that smooth surface we need again for the gild. Frankly speaking, I'm not sure what I'm going to do when the government decides it's going to ban oil-based paints altogether, and believe me, it's coming. Next we apply the sizing, which again is another oil-based product, which is basically the glue that holds the gold leaf. What I'm doing here with my knuckle is checking the tackiness for the size. I've got a window of time to get my gold leaf applied. If I gild too soon, I end up doing what they call drowning the leaf. Basically, the leaf becomes too dull and real brassy looking. If I wait too long, it dries up too fast and the leaf will not adhere to the letter. A little education at this point I think is due concerning the gold leaf itself. A lot of people see the finished product and think it's actually painted on, and it's not. It's a foil, or it's a leaf, like basically if you can think of aluminum foil. Only this stuff is beat down literally to 2/millionths of an inch thick. If you were to take a piece of this stuff and rub it around in your hands, it would literally disappear. Gold is very malleable, and there's a profession actually called a gold beater, and what they do is they literally hammer this stuff down to this thickness and slice it in slices and put it in these what they call books. These books come in two different forms. This one here being loose leaf, where you've got to maneuver the leaf with that weird looking brush I've got in my hand called a gilder's tip. The other form is called patent leaf, where the leaf is electrostatically charged to a piece of glassine paper for work on vertical surfaces where you don't have the luxury of working inside. The wind would blow all your expensive leaf off into oblivion. Then follow it up with another soft brush, bristle brush, and filling any voids that I find with any loose pieces. And the final step in the process is burnishing the leaf with a piece of cotton. This removes any slag and loose pieces and further adheres the leaf into the side and gives the metal that nice burnished, polished look that you can only get through this process. In departing, I thought you might be interested in the carat system of the way they rate gold. In the refining process, it's a way to determine how much impurity is left in the gold after it's refined. Those impurities are called alloys, and they're measured in units of 24. And the higher the carat, the more pure the gold is after it's refined. 24 carats being 24 parts gold, 0 parts alloy. There's other forms of gold. For instance, lemon gold is 18 carats, 18 parts gold, 6 parts alloy, and white gold being 12 carat. The gold we use is 23 carat, meaning it's 23 parts gold, only 1 part impurity. It's called extra deep gold, and it's really the only one we dare use for exterior work. We can and have used lesser carats, but they got to be clear coated, and of course clear coats break down. When they break down, so does the gold, and so does your pretty luster. Well, hey, I could diminish slowly into the sunset yammering about this stuff, but thanks for watching, and I'll leave you here with a small gallery of some works that include our dimensional letters on it. Thanks again, and give me a buzz if you got any questions or if you want to talk about a project.